All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So this is obviously such a massive week for every team in football. First week of preseason is this weekend, and well, outside of the Hall of Fame game, I mean, my excitement levels through the roof. Right, I cannot wait for it. So it's the start of the week. And so you're going into this, Monday, Tuesday period thinking, okay, these practices are probably going to be a little, maybe more so in the lighter end because we have the joint practice later on in the week. Obviously, no practice on Friday before the game. So, again, going into today's practice, I wasn't really expecting a ton, but there's still some things to make a note of here. So first things first, the day was pretty much controlled by the defense. Aaron Rodgers actually threw an interception. It was off a deflection. Jamien Sherwood. Rodgers on the day was 4 for 8. Again, one interception. He was also sacked. Tyron Smith actually sat out today's practice as well, which is 3 straight days of no practicing for Tyron Smith. And Saleh addressed it in the post-practice presser where he said that Tyron Smith is actually dealing with some sort of tightness in his lower extremities. So, obviously not what you want to hear, but at the end of the day, it's just tightness here. And these are scheduled off days, and Tyron Smith will be practicing tomorrow. So really not a big deal, in my opinion, at all. Now, the standout player from today's practice was Jason Brownlee. He impressed early on in the day. But again, overall, it was a defensive-led day. Eric Watts is making plays. I mean, did the Jets find themselves a diamond in the rough here? I mean, if he can actually make the 53-man roster, and by the way, I'm putting together my my 53-man prediction coming up here in a little bit. Look, if Watts, and by the way, I truly think that Watts can make this roster. I do feel like that is realistic to talk about. If not, of course, he's going to be on the practice squad. I don't even have to see a preseason game. You could just go based off of these reports, based off of really size, speed, system fit, where he was supposed to be drafted, as well as how coaches talk about Watts. You gotta think that he's at least the bare minimum. He's gonna be a practice squad player. But again, for me, I truly think that he can have a shot to make this 53-man roster, especially with all the defensive linemen that we are, frankly, without. Going back to last season with Al Woods, Quentin Jefferson, Bryce Huff, John Franklin Myers is another one. So again, Watts continues to turn heads. Now, in the post-practice presser, Saleh talked specifically about 2 players. Number one, Olu Fashanu, said that he's been specifically working at left tackle, which has been great, and that's going to continue to be the plan. But it's looking like either as training camp rolls on, or at some point in the future, the Jets will experiment with moving Olu over to right tackle to get him experience as that swing tackle. Which, I understand. For me, I think because it would be one thing if Tyron Smith was an Iron Man and he was 28 years old and there wasn't, a shred of doubt that he was going to miss any time at all. But because he's up there in age, because he's on a 1-year contract, because he does, miss time every single season and have an injury track record, I think for me, and look, I'm not anti Olu getting better or becoming a more well-rounded player, but I think the more he practices at left tackle, because it's not like he's been absolutely perfect every single practice and every single day, there has been some down moments. I want to get him as much experience as possible. And then also on the right side, not only do we just have Morgan Moses as the starter, but we have Max Mitchell and Carter Warren. So you kind of have 2 guys battling for that right tackle job. So in my opinion, I just don't really see the need for it. But that's just me though, right? I'm not saying I'm right. That's just kind of my opinion on it. But the other player that Saleh alluded to is Jamien Sherwood. Now, Sherwood has had a fantastic camp. He's making plays, and Saleh kind of highlighted him in the presser. Obviously, he made the play on the interception today with Rodgers, but even in the green and white scrimmage, he really impressed. You're starting to look at this linebacking room. Quincy Williams is Quincy. He's going to do his thing. But, how much longer is CJ Mosley going to be playing at this top tier level? Owed a lot of money, took a pay cut to actually help the Jets this season. But he's not getting any younger. Could Jamien Sherwood be the long-term answer at middle linebacker post CJ Mosley? Or do the Jets kind of just view him as that, that weak side 4-3 outside linebacker. It's going to be interesting, right? I mean, you look at the linebacker depth overall. Chaz Surratt always makes plays. Supposedly Zach Barnes has had a good camp as well. I'm pretty confident that the Jets will have a plan at the linebacker position, but supposedly Jamien Sherwood continues to take steps in the right direction. And I think the cool thing with Sherwood is that literally from a year-to-year basis, we see him grow and get better every single year. And then last but not least, the whole Hassan Reddick situation. Saleh said he has no update. Had some pretty interesting comments, in my opinion. When asked about the Reddick situation, Saleh said all of the right things, just a bunch of coach speak, right? Oh, Reddick's not here. That means extra reps for the guys that are here, that kind of stuff. But with every answer regarding Hassan Reddick, there was a long pause, right? You could tell Saleh was thinking about his answers. For example, when the question came up, are you surprised that he's not here? Multiple weeks in a camp, long pause. I am focused on the guys that are here. That sort of thing. So we'll see what happens with this Reddick situation. But it's crazy because, I'm going into these training camp practices. I'm going into preseason just with the mindset of, he's not here. He's not on the roster. And the Jets will be fine. That to me is the bottom line. But again, with Reddick, with a happy, healthy Reddick on this Jets defense, man, I mean, we can literally see the Jets become the best defense, the number one defense in football with Hassan Reddick. Like, that's how good of a player he is. So, you have to imagine that the Jets have a plan. There is going to be a solution at some point in time, but he's not here. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.